We have with us today on Focus Gaming News, Todd Haushalter, Chief Product Officer at Evolution Gaming. Todd, thank you for joining us today. How are things there?
Everything's fantastic. You know, like everybody, I'm quarantined, waiting for the world to open back up.
Good to hear it. Well, if I could start by asking, Evolution Gaming has had a strong first quarter in 2020. Could you tell us a little bit about how in your role, how new products are helping to contribute to that growth, and how you see the development of new products continuing to sustain that into the future?
Yeah, so we coming into the year, we had a pretty strong position because we were coming off of Monopoly last year, which won Game of the Year. So we're pretty excited about that. Had a lot of momentum before that, Lightning Roulette, and so we've basically been ushering this new era of game shows. And it's sort of like softer, friendlier games, but you can still win a lot of money. It's like a new way to gamble. They're not really table games, they're not really slots, but they kind of fit in the middle, and they've found a pretty big audience. And so I think what helped drive, it's so many facets when you say you had a good quarter, but from a product perspective, what happens is a lot of players will come in and they'll try Monopoly for the first time, or they'll try Deal or No Deal, or some of these game shows, and then that was intriguing enough for them to try, and then you can see they'll play a few games, they'll try that a couple times, then they'll try roulette or blackjack. And to me, it's always so interesting because I'm like, well, didn't you know roulette existed before? And they did, of course, but for whatever reason, they just didn't want to come and try it. So the game shows are bringing in a lot of people that we otherwise weren't going to naturally get, and then they kind of have a whole world of games to play. But yeah, we've really got our foot on the gas pedal. We keep pushing new games and new games, yeah.
And what is it, do you think, that appeals to people about the live first-person casino game format?
It's a bunch of things. At first, maybe a decade ago, the major draw was trust. So, you know, you bet on number 9, and the roulette ball in an animated fashion lands in the number right next to 9. And that's a tough pill to swallow. But when you see a live person spin a ball and you can talk to them, know that it's a live feed, that drove a lot of the interest. And then over time, people just got increasingly more trusting of the internet. And think of like the early days. You might not have even wanted to give your credit card on the internet or something, maybe like 20 years ago. And so same thing with gambling, especially when you get into higher limit play. It really became a trust factor. Then basically, you started to see the whole world move to video. So Facebook basically increasingly became a video platform. If you look at like the hottest, newest app right now is TikTok. It's 100% video. You know, YouTube is where people watch all their TV. They watch all their TV on their phone. And so just video as a paradigm became so big, and there we were with a video product, a video way to gamble. And so now I think it's just how people want to consume information. I think instead of searching on something on Google and reading for it, you would search on YouTube and look for a demonstration of it, oftentimes, especially if you're younger. And so now back to live casino, where do we fit in? I would say it's part still trust, and then a big part of it is how people want to consume information and how they want to live. And then the last part is you've got a person there, and you can't discount that. You've got a real human being there, and maybe you want to chat with them, and maybe you don't. But for example, you can go to a bar and have a drink that you could pour for yourself at home. But people like to go to the bar and have that drink anyway. And it's not even that they want to talk to people. They just want to be out or be in a social environment. And so we offer that from your living room or from your phone, which is particularly powerful when everybody's in a lockdown state.
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, it's people need it. So. And how do you see this developing? Can you see a road towards offering new experiences, taking this in new directions?
Yeah, I think what you'll see in live casino, for example, is that the games will just become increasingly more rich and entertainment driven. And so there will always be a place for roulette, blackjack, baccarat, and just hardcore players, then that's all they want, no problem. But increasingly, I think you gamble online or on your phone or on your computer as an alternative to maybe watching Netflix or playing video games. And so when that's your basis for comparison, it's a very high bar. And people expect to be amused and entertained and have constant stuff coming at them. A simple 1 game per minute or something like that doesn't cut it anymore. And so, you know, people don't even want to watch YouTube videos if they're longer than like 5 minutes oftentimes or something. And so in the world where people want to be entertained, I think the gambling and the entertainment, you'll see them sort of fuse together increasingly more and more and more. And, you know, even blackjack and roulette will be somewhat unrecognizable as you go forward. The core game will still be spinning a ball, but there'll just have to be so much amusement around it. And I think you'll continue to see a really strong push in that direction.
Excellent. Well, you have a new game coming up soon, Crazy Time. What can players look forward to seeing there?
Yeah, so this is the most expensive game ever made for sure. The craziest game ever made, the most time-consuming game ever to make. Not just for us, but I think in the entire casino industry. And so we did a game called Monopoly Live last year. And it was a huge success. Players really love it. And it sort of shattered every record in the company. And what we learned from it is it's all about the bonus rounds. So live casino players, remember, now that might sound like obvious, but remember, we grew up on roulette and blackjack and baccarat as a company. So the idea of a bonus round was something that was reserved for slot players. So it's all people talk about in Monopoly on the chat. So we said, okay, how do we do a game that's just got an enormous amount of bonus rounds? And what would that look like? But you still got to be able to win a lot of money, and it's got to be interesting. And let's strive to make something that's so interesting and so fun that if it was just a television show by itself, you would watch it, which is an interesting way to think about it, right? Because we're a video company. And so people watch game shows. People watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I grew up watching a game called The Price is Right, which is what Crazy Time is sort of modeled after. And you've got the main game, and then you've got these sort of side games all the way around. And so you just never know where you're going to end up. And one of the side games is just a simple coin flip, where one side of the coin might be 100 times your bet, and the other side might be 2 times your bet. So it's just a super dramatic swings that players on. Another one is this pachinko, where the host will climb up 8 feet in the air in this up the stairs and drop this like hockey puck and and you're of course wanted to land in the big prizes or the doubles. Or we've got another one called Cash Hunt, where you aim the cannon at any one of 108 different emojis, and then we show you we open it up and you see what your prize is, and then we've got a super kind of crazy bonus round called Crazy Time. And that one's sort of hidden behind a red door, so you'll have to play to find out what goes on there.
We like an element of mystery.
Yeah, you got to keep that.
We look forward to seeing it. So how's Evolution Gaming found adapting to the current situation with the pandemic? Has it helped having offices in different locations? People now coordinate around the new situation?
Yeah. It's been challenging. So immediately, if a slot company has much fewer people, so you can kind of just make sure the servers are turned on, and I'm simplifying it, but you kind of make sure the servers are turned on and rock and roll. With us, we have over 8,000 employees. Someone has to shuffle the cards, deal the cards, spin the roulette balls, clean the whole rooms. We don't have 6 feet of distance between everybody. We didn't design the company around 6 feet of distance. We designed it around being quite close in proximity. So enter coronavirus. And it starts to get increasingly more intense. So you're worried about your own employees' safety. Then you've got different governments telling you, hey, here's the national standards now, or we're doing a nationwide lockdown. You can only go to and from work, or we're shutting down the busing system. Well, a lot of our employees rely on that busing system, so what are we going to do? Or how do you run the games with 6 feet of distance? For example, I might be a dealer on a blackjack game, and somebody right next to me is shuffling the cards. And so we had to figure out a system where we could continue to run the games without obviously having those two right next to each other. And then just different parts of the world were saying, like, you have to cease operations, or you have to minimize operations, or you have to social distance. And every jurisdiction kind of had different issues, whether it was New Jersey or Tbilisi, Georgia, or Malta, or Latvia. And we worked really closely with the governments. We asked for them to guide us and give us direction, and with the health ministers and their teams, and it went really, really smoothly. We've had really good success with it, continuing to provide the games, and then also do it in a way where everybody's safe.
Excellent. It's quite an operation to get that seamless.
Yeah, it's quite an operation without coronavirus. With corona, it's particularly challenging.
So, what's your vision? How do you see the future of the industry in general? How do you think the rest of the year, the next 12 months will?
The entire gaming industry, including land-based, or just online, or just live?
Yeah, based on the online.
Which one?
iGaming.
iGaming, yeah. Well, I think coming out of Corona is good for everything except sports betting. It's just an indoor stay-at-home activity that you can do on a computer. So Netflix, Zoom, Evolution Gaming, all good bets during a time when everybody has to stay home. So a lot of people are discovering online gaming now. People might have gone to their local casino, and now they might set up an account for the first time. Or people who had accounts but only did sports betting, maybe with the absence of sports, they decided, let's check out some slots, or let's check out live casino or virtual sports. So a lot of them will stick. A lot of them will have had a good experience, and they'll enjoy it. And so it's a shot in the arm. It's a booster for casino providers and online casinos sans sports. The sports hurts. There's just no getting around it. So you say, okay, well, what's it going to look like for the remainder of the year? It's going to be tough for some operators that are very sportsbook centric. It just is. It's very hard to even survive sometimes. In some cases, if you're sportsbook dependent, you've got to pay your staff out of the gaming win generated from sports, and so that can be tough. So there's going to be that side of it. The adoption of online gaming by governments will increase. So particularly in the United States, where they can look at New Jersey and see what a shining success that is in a time of Corona. And then as people's behaviors just change, the adoption of online gaming will be greater. So you'll have governments adopting it, and then you'll have people adopting it increasingly more. And I think it'll also sort of break through a strata of an age strata, where let's say you're 60. If you're 60, maybe you weren't looking to learn new tricks, and you weren't going to naturally, but now your kids got you on Zoom, and they've got you on Skype, and they've got you on all these other things, and so they're all begging you for money with all the different cash apps out there, Venmo and everything, and so you've accidentally become internet savvy, and so some of them will find their way into online gaming too. So I think it's bullish in that regard. And then depending on how we emerge from it all economically, there could be something of an offset there if depending if it's a slow rise out of Corona, and we just have to wait and see there. But in general, it's a positive rest of the year, I think, for most. And once sports comes back. Even if there's no people in the crowd, it doesn't matter for iGaming. Just get the games going.
Yeah. It's certainly going to be an interesting 12 months.
It is.
Well, thank you, Todd, for your answers. Is there anything that you wanted to add at all?
Let's see. Nothing in particular. You covered some great subjects. Thank you to all the great people at Evolution, 8,000 strong, that make it all happen. You know, I'll sit here and talk to you, and you'll ask me the questions, but I'm basically just reporting the news that all the great people at Evolution are doing, and making it all happen. So thank you to all of them. Thank you to our customers. Without them, we have nothing. We're grateful that they would choose us.
Excellent.
And we're working hard for them.
Excellent. Well, Todd Haushalter, Chief Product Officer at Evolution Gaming, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your time, and we hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much.